Hello, my name is Dorin Marmeliuc and I'm a senior logistics consultant and an SAP S4HANA product expert working in the regional implementation group of North America. I am presenting to you today from Toronto, Canada, and I welcome you to Unit 4, in which I'll present logistics essentials and changes in SAP S4HANA. As an introduction to our unit, I would first like to talk to you about the most common scenario of an SAP S4HANA implementation. What is the most common? Well, either a conversion, brownfield, or a new implementation, greenfield, is what customers are usually looking into right now. What both approaches share is that customers are looking to move to SAP S4HANA to take immediate advantage of the basic functionalities of S4HANA and have a taste of the Fiori Launchpad with its multitude of apps. What are the logistics essentials and changes that SAP S4HANA brings? Well, let's explore those questions together. Our first question is, how is the data model different in the MMIM space in SAP S4HANA versus SAP ERP? The data model is different as the logic has been simplified. What do I mean by that? Well, more than 26 tables got merged into one MatDoc with almost all required attributes and views which represent data in all business perspectives. Separation of MKPF and MSEG information in different tables now becomes obsolete. We have only one quantity column for all stock types. All these changes brought with them a lot of key benefits like on-the-fly aggregation of inventories, no locks anymore, ensuring full scalability. High-speed evaluations are now possible. Our second question is, what changes do we have on the SD part in SAP S4HANA and are there any benefits? In SD, we also have simplified logic as index tables got eliminated, document flow got simplified, and we have fewer aggregates. All this means is a reduced memory footprint. We use one select statement instead of two, which signifies a substantial increase in performance of SAP HANA queries and pushdown code. Last but certainly not least is the fact that there are no redundancies due to aggregates, which in effect increases the robustness of order processing. Our third question is, how has output management changed in SAP S4HANA? It has and it hasn't, depending on how you're looking at the question. You can remain in the old world or step into the new world of S4HANA. By that I mean, SAP S4HANA Output Management is recommended to be used, but it is not mandatory. It is a new, unified, and again, optional framework to handle the output management processes. It has more capabilities like flexibility, templates, and so on. SAP S4HANA Output Management scope is not comparable with NAST scope. Therefore, it is very important to note that innovations will only be made in the new framework, SAP S4HANA Output Management. We activate it by object, for example, purchase contract. Not all objects are still available. As we said before, SAP S4HANA Output Management is not going to rebuild NAST. It is aimed at providing the full benefit of switching to S4HANA in regards to output control, as we have now available SAP S4HANA Workflow and SAP S4HANA Business Event Handling. However, one of the most important aspects of the new S4HANA Output Control is the fact that its main object for communication is the business partner. That means that if you're using objects other than business partner, the communication will continue to use NAST. Our fourth question is, what are my basic options for warehousing in SAP S4HANA? Well, in S4HANA we now have three basic options that customers can choose from, and we will elaborate on each of them starting from top to bottom. First choice is inventory management. It only supports basic pallet processes and a pure total quantity management. Its main drawbacks is that it has no storage bin management and no system-guided controlled warehouse. Warehouse management is the second option. Warehouse management is mostly relevant for small warehouses with manual operations, as it can do storage bin management and basic operations. Its main drawbacks is that in S4HANA it is in a compatibility view set to expire in 2025, and based on that there will be no further enhancement or future development plans. Our third option is stockroom management. It was designed specifically for S4HANA, and as warehouse management above, can only support basic warehouse processes. The main advantage versus warehouse management is that its availability will extend way beyond 2025. On the minus side, it does not cover the whole compatibility scope of warehouse management, and it is aimed to be a solution for customers still wanting to stay with basic WM, warehouse management. It is not a strategic product, and my colleague Kusiel will speak about the strategic product in this area in the next session. Our fifth question is, what differences are there between MRP Classic and MRP Live? In classical MRP, the application server calls the database server many times to read a lot of data. This data is then transferred from the database server to the application server. All tables are read sequentially one after another. In MRP Live, many tables are read in parallel using the parallelization capabilities of SAP HANA database. The data is not transferred back to the application server, but used to compute material shortages directly in the database server. That translates into speed that increases efficiency. When planning the MRP run, in the past, it was done once a day, and some companies were doing once a week. With MRP Live, thanks to the performance improvement and to the inventory position always updated because there are no blocking of tables, we can now run the MRP several times per day if necessary to provide the most updated information to the areas in need. How about when we use MRP Live with SAP Fiori? The MRP process was streamlined to potentialize the Fiori capabilities, prioritizing the instant detection of critical situations based on the current receipts, current documents, and current stock. Only through Fiori apps we can combine graphical visualization with simulation and decision support capabilities. Users will be able to evaluate the situation based on real-time information. Our sixth and final question is, what are the immediate benefits from a logistics perspective once we are on SAP S4HANA? Well, let's think. Simplified logic, simplified data model, and simplified sourcing. The only thing remaining is the visual part, right? Visual part, you say. Well, as we stated in the beginning, SAP Fiori is the next generation user interface. And because of that, we have the SAP Fiori Lighthouse apps, which customers can consume immediately once they moved to SAP S4HANA. They come out of the box, rich in functionalities, and I believe the examples below speak for themselves. For sales, we have Sales Management Overview. For quality management, we have Quality Technician Overview. Please note, a lot of these have the overview in their title. For manufacturing, we have Scheduled Production. For procurement, we have the Procurement Overview page. And for warehousing, we have the Transfer Stock Cross-Blend app. I know, there are just a couple of apps here. And I was naming just a few, right? But please search the SAP Fiori app library and pay close attention to the lighthouse emblem. That's all we have in regards to questions, but let's review a couple of key takeaways of this session. When moving to SAP S4HANA, there are functional changes to be taken into consideration. Business teams need to be involved in the project in order to understand what is changing and how to better adapt. The benefits and advantages of SAP S4HANA need to be understood in order for customers to reap all the capabilities. Extra consideration should be taken in regards to the immediate benefits SAP Fiori offers. Thank you so much. That's it for this unit. We continue the course with enriching SAP S4HANA with new logistic features in Unit 5 and my colleague Kusiel Camargo.